Good morning, friends. Welcome to the ninth episode of the Chlorophyll podcast, created specially to celebrate our 25th anniversary. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce to you the person whom we are going to learn a lot from, Neil Parikh, son of the legendary Parag Parikh, the person who introduced behavioral economics to India. Neil took over the reins in 2015, and it was 15 years ago in 2009 that Chlorophyll and Parag Parikh sir worked together. But we are going to hear the story of Parag Parikh Financial Advisory Services, also known as PPFAS, from Neil starting from 2015. In his short span, Neil has taken PPFAs from an AUM of 450 crores to an astonishing 1 lakh crores. So let me leave it to Neil to tell you the story, how it all started, how we got a phone call, and then what happened. Over to you, Neil.
Thank you, Kiran. Appreciate being on this podcast with you. We've got a long association together, and like I was telling you before the show started, that the Tortoise, the brand that you've created for us, has really helped us in encapsulating all the values that the company stands for, the Tortoise has actually come to life, if I might say so. Thank you for that, a long association, and which is helping us even today, and I think it'll help us for the time that we are going to be in
Yeah.
this business, appreciate that. I'll come to the question that you asked me. How did the journey be from 2015? So I took over the reins of PPFAS in a very tumultuous time, in a very tragic circumstances. So my mom and dad were traveling to the US for the Berkshire Hathaway annual
Okay.
meeting, and that was a something that's close to us, is because we look up to Warren Buffett and
Varun.
his style of investing, and we try to encapsulate some of that in our fund. So he had gone there to listen to Warren Buffett, and the next morning after the event, they were going to take a flight to San Diego. But unfortunately, on their way to the airport, they had a car accident. My dad didn't make it. He passed away that day. My mom was critically injured. She was in ICU for a long time, but she's back home and she's doing great
Yes,
now.
I met
Also,
her.
at the same time, there were other senior colleagues of the organization who were attending the show. So there was no one really in Mumbai. So I got a call from one of my colleagues saying that your dad's been in this accident, and they're taking care of him, the medics and so on. And you know what? And it was a day. I remember it was a Sunday, and I'd just come back from Alibag, and I was watching an IPL match. I remember that also. And so it was about 7:30. It was about 8:30 p.m. I got the first call, and I didn't make too much out of it. I'm like, okay, it's pretty a small
Yeah.
accident. Never thought so big. And but I hung up the phone that time, saying okay, and it was playing on my mind. I spoke to my wife about it, and she was like, "Listen, boss, you gotta do something. Call back again, and let's get more details." And then got a little freaked out after that. And we tried to call, but we didn't get much information because she was in the US. We didn't know which hospital, all the things. So it took us a while to figure out which hospital he was in, and what's happened to that. My sister-in-law was in the US at that time. They stay in Chicago, so they took the car and went to Omaha. And over time, I think after 4, 5, 6 hours, we realized that they both were in the hospital, and it was pretty critical. I mean, we never thought it was going to be critical as such. I mean, it's US. You get a car accident, everyone is in the medical thing.
Yeah.
So didn't realize that. But by 3 a.m., we got the news that my dad didn't make it. And yeah, I think I grew up pretty fast that day. Yeah, because there was no one there. Like I said, the senior people were all in the US, so there was I was the only one there, and thank God that I was working at PPFAS also before. It was just not some
Right.
coming in and trying to do it. So I've been working with PPFAS since 2004. I'd taken a 2 year sabbatical to do my MBA, but since 2010 to 15, so the 5 years I was very much there, and people knew me, so that was a good continuation. So I had to step in as such. We had to call a board meeting early in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. I had to talk to the all the employees who were there, saying that what had happened. By that time, the news had already flashed. The news had flashed on Bloomberg and stuff like that. So people kind of knew about it, and we started getting a lot of calls. Also at that time, we, internally we spoke, and we said that there could be a run on the mutual fund. I mean, if the founder has passed away, then people would
Right.
probably
Right.
they'll want their money back. And so around, like, we were managing about 450 crores that time, and we said we could at least get a redemption of, say, 70 100 crores. So 25-30% of AUM can pretty much get wiped out in a day's time.
My
So
God.
we needed to keep those things also, but fortunately that didn't happen, because actually my whole day, the next day, was just talking to clients, because a lot of clients were calling, and they were more shocked. It was like sometimes it was me consoling them than the other way around. So they were so upset about it, and for them, they lost a friend, of like someone who they really
Absolutely.
looked up to, or something like that. So my biggest dilemma at that time was, should I stay in Bombay, or should I go to the US, fly that day,
Hmm.
to be with my, because I didn't know what was happening with my mom at that time. I mean, I was not getting too much information. But we knew she was very critical, and I really wanted to go. But a lot of people also told me that what will happen, you need to stay here in Bombay. But the heart was to say that just go, just need to be there, just need to go to the US, and I'll come back as fast as I can. So I was back within 5 days. Luckily, my
Okay.
mom made it, and then that was a little better for me. But then I was back in Bombay. And the first year, Kiran, actually was not that bad. Yeah, I mean, the
Okay.
first year of, I think people still had that sympathy for the firm, for me, and no one did anything. So I thought it was, oh, okay, good. This is a kind of a steady state. This will continue, it'll happen. But the next year, 2016, was when stuff really started happening, in the sense that within 6 months' time, people thought we were in a very vulnerable state. So I have
Hmm.
a situation. So a lot of people, very senior people, came to me to buy the company,
Oh.
and to see,
Oh.
yeah, to see if I would sell, because we were
I
vulnerable.
didn't know
And,
that.
in the
Yeah.
mutual fund, you need a license, right? I mean, a license is very
Correct.
hard
Correct.
to get. Not everyone gets a license. So having a license of a mutual fund was very critical that time. So
Hmm.
so there were a few people who came to buy, and I was very raw that time, and I was sitting in front of these senior people, and I was like, oh, shit, I got to say, I mean, just saying no, that just built that confidence. Like, yeah, we didn't want to sell
Yeah.
it at all, or we didn't want to partner with anyone, because the way we were running this stuff was very different than what everyone else was doing. So we're like, there's no way we want to partner with anyone. That's not happening. And nor do we want to. We're like, you
Fantastic.
know what? Let's see how this goes. I think uh, we will continue, because we just got the mutual fund license. We started the mutual fund in 2013, mid 2013. So it has only been a year and a half, and the founder had passed away. So the initial years was just about survival. I mean, we said that survive this period, make sure our foundation is strong, make sure we don't veer towards the left or right, just run our
Right.
race, put our
Right.
blinkers down, and just do what we have to do, and we will see how this progresses. And we all anyway had this thing, because we are not backed by a big bank or a corporate or a
Correct.
foreign
Correct.
partner.
Independent.
We knew it was going to be a long drawn kind of a thing. So because in a mutual fund, people will look, they will ask you what was your performance. At least a 5 year performance is necessary for a smaller organization like us. We don't have a
Correct.
big name, so they're like, how do you trust them? You need to create some track record. So we're like, okay, let's be patient for 5 years at least. So by 2000, we were thinking that by 2018 we'll have a track record, and maybe if we've done pretty well and we stuck to what we've walk the talk. Basically, if we walk the talk, we would have a niche market for ourselves that would, at least some people would be attracted to that. And
Right. Right.
and by 2018, 17, 18, we had just about reached 1,000 crores, of AUM. So that was the initial tough period. Also, the fact that sorry, the why the next year was also tough was because some of our bigger clients also redeemed their money, and so
Ah,
that from that 450, which became 550, 600, again we lost another 100 crores the next year. People probably waited a little while, just to make sure that okay, things get a little cooled down. And for me, that was like, okay, this is what will happen, but I didn't realize the next year was going to be even tougher than the previous year. And fair enough. I guess a lot of people also would probably have a question about me, like I've just stepped into uh,
correct.
this CEO
Correct.
kind of a role, and probably didn't probably want to see if I perform, I don't perform. And fair enough, I mean, they would have some questions on me. But for me, that was, I think, for the organizer, the best thing was that I continued doing this because I had already made relationships in the organization. People
Right.
knew me. I was working there already, So, and the values, the philosophies were very well ingrained in
Yeah.
me, So,
Neil,
I think those initial relationships were important. And kudos to the team that was there at that point. My senior management. They really guided me. They really helped me, stood by me, and it was a team effort. Yeah, it was just a
yeah.
great team effort, and
So
all those
I,
people are still there today. And
yeah.
yeah, so that growth
So
has been pretty. It was more than anything, it was just to share it with the people who have been there. Is the fun part of it, so
yeah.
that's
So
kind of
Neil,
a bit of the journey.
in chlorophyll, we keep saying that 2004 can be taken as the starting point of social media, because Facebook at that time got a million subscribers. And after that, what has happened is a brand is created by its behavior and not just by its communication. So, yes, while the tortoise kind of encapsulates and condenses the meaning of it, I think what I find remarkable about what you have done is the brand behavior, which is the way the employees themselves behave vis-a-vis the fund, what the fund does, what has not changed despite whatever the temptations were. Want to talk about the behavior? You actually have a culture officer, right?
Yes, yes, yes. We do have a cultural officer. Yeah. So about the culture, is, I think, again, a lot has to do with my dad. He laid the foundation,
Yeah.
and he was really chatty about it. I mean, he was very chatty about it. And back in the day when I was like a kid in my 20s, I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, like he's just talking too much about values, philosophy, all these things. How he wants the company run. And for me, that time I was like, okay, but like the good thing he spoke about me, because subconsciously all that was in my mind. And
Yeah.
when this happened, it
Correct.
all just opened up. Oh, this is what he said. This is what you want to do. And the one thing that we would keep talking about is this analogy that the tree only grows as tall as how strong its roots are you
I
know
see. I
so
see.
our as promoters, as owners, as managers, our only thing is to just make sure we just keep strengthening the roots, strengthening the foundations, and over time the tree will grow, it will bear fruits, but that's again a patience kind of a thing, a long term approach to things,
Correct.
like it takes if you plant a seed today, it'll take you years for the tree to grow. Similarly, investments is like that.
Correct.
Similarly, it takes time for things to happen. Good things take time. So one thing that's already ingrained in the DNA of the firm is a long term thinking about everything
Okay.
that we did. Like I mentioned also, the fact that when the incident happened in 2015, it was not about panic or anything that okay, we need to launch so many schemes and we need to do this, everyone is doing this, we give higher commissions, all that. We're like, no, let's just stay patient, let's survive this period, let's have a 5 years track record, and then we will see how it goes. So I think everyone was kind of in that mold. At least the team that was there, we all had that similar kind of thinking, and which was very important to having a shared vision about something.
Correct.
The people are running a shared vision, and if we had a shared vision, we were like, okay, it was easy to make decisions then, a long term
Yeah.
vision for that.
Yeah.
So long-term thinking is obviously ingrained, which is like the tortoise, right? It stands for longevity, and the tortoise lives for a very long time. So again, because of the tortoise, the long-term thinking has also been
Right.
encapsulated with the tortoise. Secondly, I think one thing which was very clear from the very beginning, and we've been in this for a very long time. Though the mutual fund is about 12 years old, but the firm is 40 years old. Dad started in
Ah,
1982. So it's a 40-year-old firm, and we were one of the first to get our PMS license in 1996.
I
Okay,
see.
so we've got more than 30 years of managing people's money. And one thing over the last 30 years is from day one, it was very clear that this is a fiduciary responsibility. We
Right.
have to do what is in the best interest of the end investor. So we have to be professionals, not business people. And the difference is that a businessman would do anything to get the top line, bottom line. He would do anything to make sure the metrics are right. A professional is like a doctor or a lawyer who you would
Right.
expect will give you the right advice for those things. A professional. So we
Right.
said that we want to be professionals. Okay, we will give the right advice, we will be your financial doctors, and we'll see. I mean, we're not going to be concerned. All those metrics will happen over time. I mean, growth will happen over time, but the main thing is to build that trust, to build that good advice that we would give to people who would and walk the talk, essentially, right? I mean, the other
So,
thing we
Neil, one
sorry
of the
the,
things that is very unique is that all your employees and you yourself invest in the fund, right? That is
yes,
something very unique.
yes.
Talk about
Yeah,
that.
so it's skin. Yeah, so it's skin in the game. Again, when we launched the mutual fund, we're like, how can we tell someone to invest in our mutual fund when we don't put our own money? I mean, and
Right.
we believe, and the mutual fund started. What would be the best vehicle for our family, for our employees to put their money in?
Correct.
And
Correct.
that's how we made the mutual fund. That's how we created the scheme structure, and it was a great scheme structure for all of us. So we're like, let's invest our own money, so we are more confident when we go out and talk to people that boss mera sab idhar hi hai, and all my
Correct.
money is here in the mutual fund.
Wow.
And and we said that we will voluntarily put it up on our website when the buying selling happens. So on a month to month basis, even today after 12 years, we make sure that the website has a thing about all our top employees who are there, and if they've bought or if they've sold
Wow.
shares, so people know. Okay, if the promoter, if I'm selling shares, then they're
Right.
like, or if I'm selling the mutual fund, they should be asking, why is this guy selling
Correct.
his own
Correct.
mutual fund or what have so that was a very key thing. Not many people were doing it. Right now it's obviously become much more common because SEBI's
Okay.
also come with a rule of skin in the game, where every like 20% of our salary straight away goes into skin in the game. But we were
I
doing
see.
this much before that, and that created great amount of trust. So that was one. The other thing about, when I was talking about professionals versus business people, one thing we said, and this is very unique to us. This is what I hear about it, because people have not heard this, that we don't have targets in the organization. So
Ah,
imagine a bank or a financial company doesn't have targets for its employees. We have no targets now, and the reason is, imagine. So if I'm saying that I'm a professional, I like a doctor or a lawyer. Now, if you give a doctor, a heart surgeon, for example, a target, boss, you have to do 30 open heart surgeries in a month. That's your target. Now, on the 28th day, if you go and he has not completed his target, and if you go with a gas problem, he will cut your bloody heart open, right? I mean, so that's how the mis-selling
good.
happens. We're like, we don't want to give targets. We will only communicate about our scheme. This is the benefits about our scheme, and this is the structure. If you want it, great. So the
Fantastic.
only thing we said, that just talk to as many people as you can. I'm not. If people invest or not invest is up to them. We have to reach out to maximum people, and that's about it. So there's no target. So that has actually helped create this culture of helping, of collaboration, because
Yeah.
nobody's competing
Yeah.
with each other.
Yeah.
I said everyone will. We've said that as a company does well, everyone will do well. So it's not
Mm.
about competing with them, but let's all help each other for the company to go up. So that has really created that collaborative culture,
Correct.
and everyone just still believes in that. So
There's-
that is something.
Neil, there
Again,
is
we
one
don't
more.
have too many schemes. Yeah.
Neil, there is one more beautiful statement you made recently. So, according to me, you are on the verge of becoming a legend like your father. You recently said that wealth is freedom in an interview. So, is PPFAS going to go beyond mutual funds to create freedom for people like us in the future?
Yes, so we do have a couple of new verticals that we are planning to start. So one thing about the mutual fund is that we run very few schemes, and the only time we will launch a new scheme is number one, if there's some differentiation in the category that we can create, if there's value for our own investors, if there's something that they really require or some value that they get, and third is we are excited to put our own money in such a scheme.
Right, right.
If all three are there, then we launch a scheme. Otherwise, we don't launch schemes. So if you
I
see,
see.
we've we've got very few schemes that are running, and we think that that's okay. So from a mutual fund side, these are the three things. If I launch a new scheme, it will be because we are excited to put our own money in it. But right now, there are no plans to add any more schemes that we have. I think one really interesting part is a wealth management division that we are about to start up, and the need is for simple, honest, transparent advice.
Right.
Today when we see some of the clients who come to us, more they are just being sold like very complicated structures or complicated products or any of those things. Just people are just like getting a web of complexity, just moving a web of
Right.
complexity against people, so they can be sold anything, and honestly, only simple advice does. And today, not many people are just giving simple, honest advice, so I'm sure there's a cross section of people who will just prefer that without the riffraffs and
Correct.
all those
Correct.
things, so that's something that we've always done it in over the last 40 years. We've actually done that. We had a wealth management division earlier in the
I see.
early 2000, but because we were starting a mutual fund, we said we'll close all our businesses down, so there's no conflict of interest as such when the mutual fund
Beautiful.
starts. But now I see a great need for people to get good advice, good wealth management, and I think we are in a state to probably
Correct.
start that division. So that's going to be up and running soon. And the other division that we are coming up with is a gift city fund.
I
So
see.
today, what has happened, Kiran, that we are known for investing abroad also. Because we were the first scheme that had this model of 65% Indian equities, 35% foreign equities.
Wow.
That was the scheme structure. And the limit, the RBI limit for the whole mutual fund industry is $7 billion. So
Okay.
beyond $700 billion, you can't remit outside the country. 2 years back, we've hit that limit, and those limits have not yet been revised. So, as such, for the last year, there's a stall, there's a stop on us investing abroad or sending money abroad. So, one of the biggest needs I see for people also is to diversify outside of India. You're taking only
Right.
country specific list of India. You want to diversify out of India, you want to keep some money outside India for whatever. Your children are going to go abroad to study in 10, 15 years.
Right.
You want to build that corpus, or you want to build a corpus, just basically hedge it out. You don't want everything in rupees. You maybe want some money in dollars. So I think there's a great need for that. And the gift city structure will enable us to have a
I
offshore
see.
fund.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we've just got our license just recently, 2 weeks back. So I'm hoping
Wow.
in 3 months' time we'll be up and running with that fund, and we'll probably come out with more information when that happens.
One very important question, Neil. Um, if you have to look back, how did this entire experience change you as a human being?
Oh,
Besides
it's
being
changed
the
me. Yeah, it's changed me completely. Yeah, I mean, it's for the better, for the better. That's what my wife tells me, so I'll take that.
we'll believe
Because
her.
honestly, I'll tell you, I'll be very honest. I'll be very honest. Pre 2015, I was, yeah, though I was working in PPFS, I don't think I was so driven. Your dad's running the company, and you're working there, but okay, things are going smoothly. You let it go smoothly. So I was unfortunately that I was taking life just the way it came. I mean,
Ah,
uh, I was taking smoothly. I mean, it was things were going on pretty smoothly in life. So yeah, I was just cruising through
Coasting
life.
along.
Let's put it that way. Yeah, I was just cruising. It was nothing else. But this incident happened, and it made me mature overnight. I mean, when I look at myself, I was pretty immature pre 2015. But after 2015, in that single day, I
Wow.
matured, because I remember, Kiran, that flight to the US. When I had to take that flight that night to the US, I uh, I called the aerostess, said, "Give me a napkin. I need to write something down." And
Wow.
I just started writing, and in that flight, I just started writing all the things that came to my mind that Dad used to tell me about how he would want to run the company, and all the values, philosophies. And I just started making these notes. And the minute I made these notes, I just felt a
Wow.
sense of calm. I don't know what it was. I showed my wife this. She was next to me. I'm like, I woke her up. I'm like, listen, these are things I need to do. Dad would like me to do this. And from that day, I think I was a new person. I think, obviously, the stuff about those people coming to buy the company and me saying no to them. I think
Yeah.
that
That's
saying no to people
tremendous
really builds
courage.
confidence also.
Tremendous courage.
Builds
Yeah.
confidence. I'm a much more confident person right now. I'm a little more patient. I think I'm just grown as a person in the last 5 or 7 years, way more than what I've grown in my first 32 years. So
Yeah. That
yeah,
is
a
good
lot of
for us.
maturity, I would say. I've come.
That's good for everybody who invests in PPFAS.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you.
So I'm going to check whether there are any questions, and just
Sure.
anybody from the audience, anybody can ask a question. Put your questions in the comments list. And yes, so there is Sandesh asking, when the drawdown came down in 2016, did the organization philosophy help you stay independent?
It's a great question. It did actually. I mean, when those things were happening around us, when clients were withdrawing money, when the AUM dropped off a cliff, and it felt like for 3 years we were not going anywhere. I think the long term approach to investing came very much there. The patience part of it,
Right.
also the fact that look, we've never really. Went for fads and fancies. And in the market there's fads and fancy all the
Correct.
time,
Correct.
tips, fads and fancy. We always not gone that way, so we said that, and because we had ran the PMS in our earlier avatar, and we had seen that financial crisis 2007, when that happened. And our PMS did really well that time, because we protected the downside well. So we knew that our approach to investing will work, because
Brilliant.
there's no gimmicks. And honestly, in the end, what works in the market is buying low and selling high. There's no other way to make money in the market, so we're like, okay, we are focusing on our values, which we've done over the last 25 years, our investment philosophy. We are following that. And yes, right now is a tough time, it's a tough time. But if we just keep at it, we build trust. I think that was the biggest thing, is building trust and communication. I think communication is something I really
Right.
want to talk about also, is because when we started the mutual fund, communication in the mutual fund industry was absolutely poor. And when we said that,
Okay.
we got in, we said that, boss, communication, if you don't communicate with your investors and you don't tell them what you are about, how will you build trust and how will they see you? So we are the only mutual fund in India who has an AGM for its investors. It's on the line
Wow.
of Berkshire Hathaway meeting, coming the full circle, when Dad was
Wow.
at that Berkshire Hathaway meetings, we said that that's something we need to have, where anyone who's invested 1,000 rupees or 100 crores or 1,000 crores, all of them can come in one room, and they will, and you question us for the next 4 hours. And these meetings go on for 4 years, and we've had it every year since the mutual fund has been in
Wow.
existence. We just
Wow.
had one in December. And that, I think, when we had those meetings in those tough times, that 2015, 16, it gave us the confidence also that, yeah, we could answer their questions, and this is what we stand for. And a lot of people came there, they're like, now I'll be with you all for a while, and that was great. I mean, what we wanted to was a niche market, and slowly that niche should hopefully grow, which kind of
Yes.
has happened over that
It
this time.
has. It
So
has. It has.
yeah, sure, that those the philosophy, the values really helped us in
Yeah.
those tough
So
times.
Neil, my most memorable moment with your dad was he unfolded a long sheet of paper which had the stock market in the US from World War One or World War II, and he said,
Yeah,
Kiran, it
yeah,
doesn't matter. It goes up and down, but over 12 years, it will always double. So, which was, I think that is how he was proving to me that if you have patience, you will make money. So, Neil, we
absolutely.
have come to the end of this. I can go on talking. You know how passionate I am.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have always thanked your father. I haven't thanked you. So I'm going to thank you for what you're doing to your investors. Thank you for creating a brand which is so unique for so long. And a third thank you to all our viewers, all our audiences. Thank you very much. And let's meet again. Thank you, Neil.
Kiran, thank you for having me. Thank you, audience. Thank you.
Bye.